Welcome to the Gen Z Journey, where we work with you through an entrepreneurial lens to build a wholesome perspective on life and build both our business and personal dreams together. Join our community on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn at Gen Z Journey.
Okay, so hello and welcome to another Gen Z Journey podcast. You're joined today by myself, Yadhira is co-hosting with me, and you're joined by my bosses here at Joya Yoga. They're wonderful individuals. I can't wait to bring them on and talk about kind of their background of where they started with Joya and kind of where they're taking it. But without further ado, I think we'll get them to just give a little introduction of who they are as individuals, and then we'll jump into the main body of this podcast.
Man, I don't know. I don't know if I like being referred to as a boss. So much pressure. My name is Razi. My wife and I own Joya Yoga Studios. We're excited to be here. Rio, I don't want to say Rio works for us, but actually Rio's learning with us. So he's been a good partner with us, and he's been helping us out on the front desk operations side of the business as far as Joya Yoga is concerned. So we're excited to have him here, and then excited to be part of this podcast. We started Joya Yoga about in 2014 as a hot yoga studio only. And shortly thereafter, we expanded it to 5 locations, almost going on 6 right now. And then we added an online studio due to the COVID pandemic. So trying to adapt with the times and get things going. And just excited and kind of honored that you let us, you allowed us to come in here and do a podcast with you. Us old guys know something every now. Us experienced guys know something every now and then. So I'll let Deanna introduce herself. So
yeah, my name is Deanna.
She's
Hasni.
My boss.
I like that. No. My name is Deanna Hasni, and we started yoga about 6 years ago now. My journey started with, in my younger years, trying to just figure out what I wanted to do, and I've done a little of everything. And when I did my first yoga class, I just kind of knew this was my essence. This is where my path is going to lead me. It was really crazy. After my first yoga class, I just had this vision that I want to open this yoga studio. It took many years to plan for it and prepare and open, and I haven't looked back since then. We have bigger plans, and I'm just very excited to be where we are today.
And that's been one of the big things for me since I've arrived and been part of the team here, or part of the tribe. It's been great just seeing and being part of such we have such a culture here, I feel like, and it's so hard not to get caught up in it and just really enjoy the experience, whether you're working here, whether you're a student here, whether you're a teacher, whether you own Joya. It's just you're all part of one big family, and that is an amazing thing to be part of, and can be applied, I think, to many other businesses, whether it be yoga, whether it be a coffee shop. It can be anything, and it's really exciting to be a part of. And so I wanted to ask you guys, why did you start Joya, and what was the really motive behind it? Like, why did you want to go on this kind of entrepreneur journey? What motivated you to do that?
So I think each one of us would have probably a different answer for you on that one. So I'll let Deanna answer hers first, because she's really the reason. The spiritual journey and the spiritual part of Joya really kind of was set in stone by Deanna's vision and Deanna's thinking. So I'll let her answer.
Joya started, again, I was in this search for many years of my life, just kind of searching in what I wanted to do. I had plans of school and going to school and going to medical school, and then it was business, and then it was my master's. It just nothing felt right. I was, in my journey of working for a really amazing corporation and, really making good income, being successful, but it just it wasn't satisfying my soul. And so as I was going on with my career, in the back of my mind, I was very open to, well, what if I really find something that I absolutely love and have that passion? And so throughout my life, I've tried different things, but I was successful at it and I did great at it, but it didn't satisfy that craving that I have, that longing for something deeper. And like I mentioned before, I took my first yoga class, and it was during the time, it was like a rough time in our lives, that I took that first class, and there's something clicked that I want to do this. It helped me so much in my life that I'm like, I want to continue this. I want to pass what it did for me in my life, at that moment of my life that I want to help as many people get to that place. And I thought, what better way to experience what I experienced and to share it to as many people as possible. So it started with an idea, and I'm like, well, maybe I'll be successful and maybe I'll make money but that wasn't the end goal. The end goal was that I want to help people the way it helped me. And so I think, that's the most important thing, I think, when you're starting a business, is that you do it for the right reasons, right? And the money will come. That's been our motto all of our lives. You do it with your heart and you do it with passion, and you're going to be successful. And the success, money will follow success, and that's how Joya started. We started with one, and we're growing, and we're a young company, but we have a bright future. I see the future as being even brighter. And so this journey of just starting as a business owner has just evolved and so much bigger than what we were expecting, and it's fantastic, and we're open to where it's going to lead us in the future.
And I just wanted to jump on that as well. You really beautifully highlighted the difference between, like, you were going down that career path, really working and striving to work hard in a corporate and in a job, and then you found yoga and where that led you. And what was could you just summarize, I think you did in there, but could you just summarize for me what that real difference was? Like, because a lot of people would suggest, by society, that path you were going down is happiness, right? That's what we're set up to do and go down. So what was difference between that and then really finding genuine happiness with yoga? Like, how was that so different?
I think asking, each person's different, right? Knowing what happiness means for you. If it means just a good career, which I had, a good paying career with all the benefits, if that's your happiness, then yeah. And by society's definition, that's what people strive for. But I think for certain of us, or I think for most of us, maybe I think certain people don't challenge themselves to ask, is that my real true happiness, right? And so I think I was always asking myself, what is it that I really want? What really makes me happy? And I thought it was a good career, which I had. But when I got there, I just didn't feel satisfied. I think I was just longing for that deep satisfaction, like where something just touches my soul. And I didn't stop until I found it. And I finally have found it, and it's amazing, and I'm excited.
That's incredible. No, I think it's important. What she touched on is very important. I think finding your true happiness, finding what you really want to do. But more important than that is being open in your journey. A lot of youngsters, Gen Zers maybe, or Gen Xers, or whatever it may be, they go to school for one thing, and they graduate with a Bachelor of Science, let's say in business administration, or biology, or history, or political science, and they go on for their MBA studies, or whatever, or higher education studies. But the most important thing to remember is an education is just that, it's a discipline, right? So one of the things that you can't do in this environment specifically is corner yourself to one pathway of thinking, regardless of what you want to do, right? So whether you've done find your passion regardless of what it is, right? So just because you have a degree or an education or a background or experience in this doesn't mean that you're going to succeed. That you can't succeed in anything different. You have to be open and receptive to being able to kind of flow with the water, whichever way the winds blow, right? So and make sure that you understand. So we both of us, like I graduated with a biology degree, microbiology degree. So, but I, with the intention of going on to medical school and everything else. But for me, my true happiness was in business and making sure that, we take something small and create something and take it to the next level. And I started working with a corporate organization, much like hers. Where I honed my skills and I learned a little bit more about customer service and how to manage big corporations and how to manage big accounts and deal with that. And then, kind of graduated myself there to a leadership position in the company. And then shortly thereafter decided that the best thing for me to do was after I met her and following her lead was to kind of help her with her endeavors as far as opening her first yoga studio. And when we did that, I realized how important it is to be, how awesome it is to kind of chart your own path. Right, and so and not have to rely on somebody writing your paycheck for you or somebody else telling you what to do, how to do it, and when to do it. So for me, I wanted to be able to chart our own path and then create something that's gonna last beyond, beyond us, ultimately, So make sure that we leave an impact on our society and our community and help our community in a way that. We leave a mark on it, and that's the purpose behind Joya. Regardless, there's tons of little stories and nuances there about how it really started, But the story is to try to leave an impact on our community and make sure we make positive change, specifically and especially during times like these where there's political uncertainty and this pandemic that's going on around us and all these things, where people have to come to a safe place where they can feel safe and where they can feel like, they can be the best versions of themselves they possibly could be, whether it's outdoor, online, or in the studios. So we put all that together in a package called a Joya, because Joya is about happiness.
Yeah, what's the name? What is the story behind the name as well?
So we started out as Bikram yoga. That's a very specific type of yoga that I started with. And so the first 2 years it was just strictly Bikram yoga. We're doing one type of yoga. And then we slowly started, as I learned in my yoga journey, as I adventured into other yogas, I realized, one type doesn't fit all, right? So we started incorporating other types of yoga and Pilates, and then we kind of grew from that Bikram name because we were so much more than just a Bikram studio. So we had this little competition with our members who would come up with a name, and at the same time we were, coming up with names ourselves. And so none of the names really resonated with me. And then
there were a few really good ones. There were a few really good ones.
But I was playing. Nothing was really resonating. So I started playing with the word joy. I'm like, what does the studio bring us? And joy kept coming up. So I played around with the word joy, and then adding an A just had a better tone to it. So that's how Joya came about. But, I'm originally from Afghanistan, so I told my dad, he said, did you guys come up with the name? I said, yeah, it's Joya. And he was just like, wow, that's a great Farsi word. And I'm like, what do you mean? I just came up with that word. He said, no, Joya in Farsi means somebody who's longing for something.
No way.
Yeah, it was
That's
just
incredible.
Yeah, so it was just really amazing, and in Spanish it means jewel.
Yeah.
So it just like I thought it was just like a made up name, but it actually has. And I'm like, that's when he told me that. Then I was like, it sealed the deal. I'm like, it's Joya, it is.
So she brings up a really valid point and a really good point, is that believe and trust in the universe, right? No matter what it brings, and have faith that whatever it is, that if you keep that positive vibe and that positive energy, and you attract whatever comes your way, and whatever comes your way is meant to be because you attract those vibes, right? So for us, we never planned Joya or the meaning of Joya or anything, but it just landed in our lap, and that's how we run a lot of our operation. It's not that we don't do market studies and evaluate the business side of it, but a lot of it has to do with just vibe, man. I mean, honestly, it's just vibe. Like, your vibe attracts your tribe. It's true. It really is true. Like, just if you vibe in the right direction, if your energy flows in the right way, the rest will happen, and you don't have to worry about the small little details. It's good to be, you always have to keep your eye on, the prize and focus, and that's what I like to do. but at the end of the day, it's just about vibe and about energy and about making sure that we set that happy place where people can come, and that's happiness,
And I mean, I work with you guys on a regular basis, so it's easy for me to see that. But having just met these guys and just met Razi and Deanna, how does that come across to you? Does that come like with the studio that we're in and the way in which they speak about Joya? Does that come across to you?
Oh, it's amazing the significance that this company has for you guys, and like everything that you want to bring to it for like the members to enjoy. I love hearing about that, and like Rio said, I didn't know anything coming into this. I've done yoga in high school, and like that's all I've done, and then I've continued like through the gym a couple times, but I never was like in a studio like this where it's like, like you said, the vibes, everything. It's like all about just like how it's like growth and betterment of yourself, and I like it.
Yeah, man.
I really enjoy it.
Yeah. Vibe attracts your tribe. It's so true, man. It's so true. Us old folks, experienced folks, know a thing or two. But no, cool. And I'm glad to hear that from you, because I think this is the first time you ever walked into the studio. So I'm super excited to hear that from you. That means that we set the right tone. So cool, man.
She's taken your sound.
Oh, the sound bath.
Oh, that's right. You came. Yeah, you did the offsite class.
That was really exciting. Yeah. That was my first time ever doing that. It was super cool.
Yeah. In the business world, you have very like left brain, right brain people, right? So a lot of times in business, spirituality and energy is seen as something like, those hippies, do that kind of stuff. But it's really cool for us to really bring that into a modern business. You know, we do energy work. I set intention for the studio, and it goes a long way to. I see it as going hand in hand, but I think with the younger generation, people are noticing that more, and they're open to that. And so obviously you guys feel the difference when you walk in, but that's all intentional as well. So I think with the younger folks, it's really important to be open. You don't have to be just like, you know, spiritual and then or just business. You could definitely, you could mix the both. And I think it's when you mix the both, you find that balance. It's beautiful. Magic can happen.
I definitely agree with you. And I find that with a lot of other things as well. Spirituality and business is, sometimes people keep them separate, but kind of, and I wanted you to speak on this particularly, Razi, is that amalgamation of just letting worlds kind of collide together rather than keeping everything separate. I find that as a young person, for some reason, we feel like we're encouraged to do that, or like you keep your friends separate and your family separate and all of that. But I found some of the most happy people is where all of that just collides into one, because then they're not working, they're not playing, they're just always having fun. You know, they're just always excited for the day.
The main when we expanded this studio to add other modalities as well, and the other half of the studio here specifically in the Livermore location, we hired a program developer and a program writer that's going to kind of develop and write programs specifically tailored for Joya. And as we started going down that path, a lot of the stuff that you're talking about here and we're talking about is we decided that we want to merge a lot of the Eastern philosophies, ways of life, you know, meditations, things like that, with the Western views and Western methods. You know, that's why you saw at some point you'll see aerial yoga combined with steel maces, or you'll see, you know, cycling combined with meditative technologies, right? Or we'll end, the majority of our classes will end with a meditation, regardless of whether it's a weightlifting class or whether it's, you know, a cycle class. A lot of them will stop and we'll end the class with a meditation. And it's really good to ground yourself and make sure that regardless of where you come from, what your background is, who you are, what you've done, and that, you know, fitness and wellness, Joya is a level playing field where regardless of where you've come from, what your background is, you know, all of those traditions and those previews and judgments are broken here, right? So you can be in a class sitting next to an attorney, or sitting next to a doctor, sitting next to a mother or a grandmother, and the playing field is level. That means that you're all going for the same thing, that for your health, for your fitness, for your mind, for your body, and that brings people together. Specifically, in, you know, during times like these, there's no greater equalizer than the hot room, or than an exercise, you know, or than a set of exercises you're trying to do outdoors or whatever, because at that point, it really doesn't matter. We all bleed the same blood and think, you know, and you know, we're all humans. So that is the greatest equalizer that I see, and that's part of the reason why I love doing what I do too. Is, you know, my whole life is, you know, our whole lives is we've been bridge builders. You know, so I grew up all over the world. I spent my childhood in Tunisia, you know, a little bit in France. I came here to Texas, and then from Texas I came to California. So my whole life I was kind of torn between Eastern and Western philosophies. And, you know, as soon as we started Joya and bringing a lot of these ideas to fruition, it brings me a lot of happiness when I come in and see people, you know, talk about meditation the way that they talk about it, and understanding breathing techniques, in addition to how to pound a 15-pound kettlebell and all that kind of stuff, right? So it's really important. Or, you know, the high intensity interval training stuff combined with, you know, meditation and, you know, calm mind, calm bodies, things like that. So those are important technologies that we should fuse together and use and keep them together rather than separate.
Yeah, and I wanted to touch on that development really quickly of Joya. So what year was Joya founded?
So we started. So we signed our lease for our first location in 2014. We started the hot yoga studio, and by the time we built out the studio, it took us about 9 months. So 2015 is when we opened in July. And that's really when that's our birthday, July 2015. We started as a hot yoga studio specifically, but then Joya evolved a year later when we started adding our locations and we started bringing in a lot of different modalities. And then the vibe switched from not just, you know, hey, this is hot yoga, this focus on these 26 postures, to breathing exercise, which is excellent. It's an awesome form of, it's great, but then we figured ourselves that for us, it was a lot more about just the hot yoga. It was more about bringing cultures and communities together and leaving a significant impact on our community where people can come feel happy and heal and all that kind of cool stuff.
And how just highlight that development, because for me, when you told me that, it was just I went home and told my dad straight away, because I was like, this is incredible. From that 2015, you added a studio pretty much every year.
It was natural, to tell you the truth. It was really natural, and a lot of it was your vibe attracts your tribe. We never went and sought the growth. The growth came to us in the form of opportunities. So we had a friend of ours that was struggling in Dublin and was trying to, figure out a way to make his business better. And we came in and helped him, and then took over the business. He needed a way out, so we took the business from him, took over the lease, and expanded thereafter. Then thereafter, we turned that operation from a struggling studio to a successful studio, and the product spoke for itself, really. So a lot of our members were happy. A lot of our industry started seeing what we were doing, and so our San Ramon studio was the same way. They got a hold of us saying, "Hey, can you come and help us out?" Applied the same model. Our Castro Valley studio applied the same model. Then after that, we had a successful base, and we expanded this operation here from the small 3,000 square foot studio to now over 8,000, almost 9,000 square feet, or with three practice rooms, and then we're in the process of building out our sixth studio and second studio in Dublin, which is going to be hopefully our flagship premier studio, and we can use that to launch into our franchise ideas and what we want to do for our franchise ideas. But as in everything else as in everything else that happens in life, you have to be able to adapt and make sure that you're able to go with the flow. So regardless of what the pandemic has happened with us and whatever it is, we always set our business up to make sure that we can withstand a certain amount of impact, right? So it's difficult. We took a big hit with the pandemic, but I think we take solace in the fact that we didn't overextend ourselves ever. We made sure that we had enough reserves to be able to withstand some of the impacts that it's had on us, and and have faith, be positive about the idea that at the end of the day that all will be well and everything will be okay, and we'll come out better and stronger. So we still have plans. We're still expanding our operations and making sure that we're ready for it. We've added our online studios, which is super exciting. Joya Soul TV, that's really awesome. You can be anywhere in the world. Sign up for joyasoultv.com. Sorry, that's my shameless plug. Yeah, joyasoultv.com.
Where can they find it?
It's online, so it's online. It's web. We're launching our apps actually tomorrow, so you can have your mobile app on your phone, on your Android, Roku TV, Apple TV. You can get it on your laptop. So joyasoultv.com. Yeah.
$20 a month.
$20 a month, and it's free 2 weeks, so try it out. Yeah.
Did you have a question?
Yeah, I'm curious about what classes or kind of the workouts you guys do, because I remember when Rio first started working here, he told me it was just like a yoga studio, and I was like, okay, so it's just yoga, And then once he sent me a picture of him in the cycling room, and I was like, okay, so it must be yoga and cycling. But now you're saying weights and stuff.
Yeah,
so you offer a variety.
Yeah,
of classes.
we do different types of yoga. So we do hot yoga, non-heated yoga, and in yoga there's different styles. So like vinyasa or yin or Bikram. So we definitely do yoga, and then in addition to yoga, we do HIIT classes. So with weights and without weights. We do Pilates fusion, where it's Pilates-based principles using HIIT, and in addition to that, we do, which is very unique to at least this area in the Tri-Valley, nobody else is doing it, aerial yoga, where you use the hammocks and you use the silks to get a deeper stretch. It's also really fun. You do a lot of inversion because not everybody's able to do inversions. So, for example, using the aerial silks, everybody could go upside down and get all the benefits of being inverted. We do cycle classes, as you mentioned, and variety of other types of classes like meditation, and the list just keeps going on.
Oh, the strength training classes. We got to talk about. You want to see some really cool stuff come in during this Joya Strong class. You'll see women stringing steel maces. Have you ever worked out with a steel mace? It's the coolest tool, man. It's like a long metal tube, and then at the end of the tube is like a little ball at the end of it. And the weight displacement is it's an Eastern practice. A steel mace was used by Persian wrestlers way back in the day to train, or Persian warriors way back in the day to train for war, basically to be soldiers. But its effectiveness is evident even today, like and because of the way that the ball is shaped at the end of the steel mace, and displacement of the ball can actually make you feel like you're lifting heavier than what you really is. On top of it, movement. So a lot of our like strength training stuff and high intensity interval training stuff is proprietary to us, and that's the coolest part about Joya too, is that we've been able to assemble a team of very highly motivated and successful and creative. That's the key, is creativity. Creative trainers that can put together programs like these that are unique in the industry, and you wouldn't be able to find them anywhere else, really.
Wow, that sounds amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
JoyaSoulTV.com. Yeah, so no, it's really cool stuff. Lots of really cool stuff. So yeah, and it's like Deanna said, if you want if you're looking for just that high intensity, the HIIT class where you just want to get out there and do your thing, we've got that too, the cardio class.
I think the difference between Joya is, especially as we're getting a little older, we realize, you can't just more experience. There's some people who just strictly do yoga, and there's some people who do strictly just strength training. And for our philosophies, to have a really healthy mind-body, you need a combination. You can't just do weight training without stretching, without yoga. You can't just do yoga and be flexible and not strong. So our philosophy is about mixing all the different modalities to be in the best shape, not just physically, but mentally, with the Eastern philosophies of incorporating meditation. So we believe in the wholeness of all the different modalities to give you the best experience.
I need to work on my stretching then.
Yeah. You guys, one of the other things that we do too here is, and you probably haven't experienced it yet because we're still kind of on a semi-lockdown, we're still doing outdoor classes only, but as we open back up, a lot of the things that we also do are workshops where we will bring in experts from all sorts of like nutritional disciplines, and we'll talk about some crazy stuff like ayahuasca and Wim Hof, and like all these things that people don't normally see in the general mainstream thinking of fitness and wellness, but bring a different perspective. So a lot of people will look at it and say, I thought it was weird, but now I'm like, oh, I get it. Like putting yourself in an ice bath for 2 minutes every morning is going to change how your body reacts during the day, and it's going to calm you down, it's going to strengthen your immune system. And you're like, that was weird looking at that guy dumping in the ice bath, but I get it. Yeah. Makes sense now. I understand where it's coming from. Or nutritional stuff like Ayurvedic medicines and some of the stuff that's intermittent fasting and things like that, where people will say, I don't know, man, but then you start listening in on it, I'm like, holy cow, like, man, I laughed at her because intermittent fasting is not a new thing. Intermittent fasting has been around for thousands of years. And so, we're multicultural, so I laughed at her. I'm like, the Muslims way back in the day, till this day, fast during the month of Ramadan. And during the month of Ramadan, you fast from sun up till sun down, which is the Muslims and the Arabs and, whoever practices that religion have been doing it for over 1,000 years. And now it's coming to light that, hey, this stuff really works. If we fast from sun up till sun down, it cleanses our system. I'm like, see, I told you. They had something right. They got something right. So, yeah.
And as we begin to wrap things up here then, I just wanted to touch on two more I got one final question for you, but just before that, I just wanted to talk about how you have been through this pandemic period, because you've been a great inspiration for me in just terms of how you've approached it with that, like you said, that positive kind of mindset, just still attracting those people. But how have you guys kept going through this time? It's really difficult for everybody, and we really appreciate that, particularly for business owners at this time. It's really difficult. So how have you gone through this time, and what's kept you going? What's about Joya has just really kind of, you still want to be doing your mission, you still want to be bringing this to the community, and you're going to find every way you can. What's kept that mentality there?
She's my rock, so I'll let her answer it. She's our strength.
Well, I think even when we started Joya, we really practiced law of attraction, and that mindfulness, the mindset is the key to, I think, success in any business, right? As an entrepreneur, you're willing to take those risks. When you open a business, everybody talks about the risks, so the risks are always there. But I think the mindset is really important. Yes, it's hard. This pandemic has hit us in ways that nobody had ever expected to be shut down for now 6 months. Even
7.
As a business owners, you have reserves for maybe 3 months to 6 months. But everybody's being hit really hard. But I think the difference is having that mindset. Instead of, we could have kind of followed this lead of a lot of other studios. Well, we're just going to shut down. We're going to wait till what happens, see what happens. But for us, like, failure is not an option. We're like, okay, let's get creative. And I think that's the difference is being creative in the situation that you're in. Because when you're in business, there's going to be a lot of uncertainties. There's going to be a lot of situations where you didn't plan for it. But the difference is how you react to those uncertainties, right? And a lot of it starts with a positive mindset. Yeah, we were scared in the beginning, just like everybody else. We were scared for a day, and the next day I'm like, okay, what are we going to do? So we were literally, the shutdown happened. The next day we had a staff meeting. The following day we started, I'm like, let's just do online classes. We didn't wait a second. So I think thinking outside the box and being creative is really important. And I think especially in this pandemic, all those businesses that were a little bit creative and kind of thought outside the box are doing okay. I don't think anybody's doing great at this moment. But I think just right now, just survival is just making sure that we at least survive and stay afloat until we open fully. And to answer your question, is all about the mindset, right? We could have been like, okay, this sucks, we're just gonna wait, there's nothing else we could do. Or you say, okay, well, yeah, it does suck, but what are we gonna do? Anything, right? And we tried different things. We tried the online, and then our online continued getting better. We tried outdoor classes, and then we started perfecting that, And so even in time of pandemic, we learned a lot. The things that we learned, that we took from COVID and the learning curve during COVID, we're going to continue. And even when things open, like the outdoor classes were such a hit, people want those outdoor classes even when we actually open. The online classes, it opened at a whole new business for us. So
Joya Soul TV.
Yeah, Joya Soul TV. So
$20 a month.
That's right. 2 weeks free.
yeah, so I think it's just for us. It's just I think our mindset. I think it's just staying positive.
So I'll add 2 things to that. One is again, I go back to your vibe attracts your tribe. We were blessed and lucky. I don't want to say lucky, but the universe, that's the way it just worked out, because that's the intention that we set, is we were surrounded by a group of really talented and great team members who believed in us and believed in our vision and wanted to keep that going. And that was extremely important. We had a meeting the day that the shutdown was announced, and I remember looking around at our room and looking around, I'm like, guys, this is the path forward. The path forward is online and live streaming, and we need to do it right now. Like, we can't wait a day, we can't wait 2 days. We need to do it right now, and that's it. So we took a day off, and the team coalesced, came back together, and we started filming, believe it or not, there's a little camera here, somewhere around here, with one little camera and one little microphone like that, and started shooting live streaming classes from then. And the industry evolved, and we started building from there little by little, and got to where we are right now with Joya Soul TV. Second is a little bit of experience and history, and I'll leave your viewers with that too, because something that my father shared with me, and I want to share with you guys too, is that there's a Moorish general way back in the day, an army general who crossed the Spanish Strait, Gibraltar, to invade the southern part of Spain in Portugal, to basically establish extend the empire into that European region. And as he crossed that empire, he crossed with ships, like thousands of ships, right? As he crossed the strait, he crossed with thousands of ships. He landed on the shores, and he burned all his ships, as of course, after all the soldiers disembarked, right? So burned all the ships, and so the soldiers were shocked. They looked at him. I'm like, General Tariq, why would you do this? We can't go back home. So he looked at him and it's like, you know what? We can't eat. We can't do anything else. I'm like, here's your thing. Your homes are behind you. You can't go back. Your ships are burned. The only path forward for you to eat and survive is go forwards. And they went on to establish a beachhead and kind of go forwards. And survival was key. Failure is not an option, right? So there's no way for us to go back. Failure is not an option. So we have to take that mindset here and figure out a way to make this work, regardless. And history is on our side. I mean, regardless of what situation we're in, is if we take that attitude and look at that with the idea that we're going to create something that's going to benefit our community and help our community, failure is not an option. We're going to make it work, regardless. We'll figure out a way to do it. And that's been our motto. That's been our story, is that regardless of where we stand, regardless of where we are, regardless of what cards we're dealt with, we'll figure it out. We're a team. That's what we're all about. And we'll try to incorporate different visions to make sure it works. Right?
Yeah. And that vision coupled with that huge motivation, I think, is just what attracts the vibe, you know? That's the positive thing that attracts the tribe of people.
Yeah.
I just love how you guys make an emphasis of like the mindset.
Yeah.
You know, how it's so easy to like look at a situation and get complacent and say, well, the situation is what's going to affect me, but you affect the situation. You are the one who's in charge of your life. And so the mindset, you know, the way you take in something is so important to move forward.
Yeah.
And I love that. I love that that's your main focus.
Yeah, it's huge. It's huge. Well, I think that's a perfect way to kind of begin to wrap things up. But we always have one final question that we leave people with. And that is, what do you guys want to leave people with? It's one thing that we'll get one from each of you of just one final message you want to leave the audience with and they can take from this podcast today.
I'll start. I think just what we talked about, mindset, and that's really important. I wish I found the law of attraction at a much younger age than I did when I did, because I think it would have changed a lot of things in my life. You know, meditation, a lot of people think you have to be a certain age to start meditation. Meditation is just an amazing way to really find that mindset, to find what it is, what your true calling is, what your happiness is. So you're, you know, you're never too young to start that kind of shaping your mind, right? And finding what is it? What is your calling? And never stop being curious, right? Never just accept, well, this is it, right? Never just, I guess the word is never stop until you find your true happiness.
I'll add to that. I think mindset is extremely important. I would say that's paramount. But second to that is flexibility. Be flexible, you know? It's like you're driving a car and they teach you an accident preparedness and everything. If you're rigid and you have your hands on the steering wheel and you're rigid and you're just getting up and you hold on tight, you're going to break those arms. You're going to break bones. You're going to get seriously hurt. But if you're loose, you have a better chance of coming out of there without any kind of injury. Same thing that happens in business is that if you're rigid in your philosophies or rigid in your ideas of what yoga should be or what fitness should be or what wellness should be or what business should be, you're going to get cornered into the idea that I can't do anything else. Your mindset is already set that, oh my, you know, this is the way it's going to be and this is how it's going to work. So you have to be a little bit flexible in your thinking and apply that flexibility and be ready to move with how, you know, whatever comes your way. It's okay. Things are going to happen. You know, you're going to have pandemics, you're going to have, you know, fires, you're going to have earthquakes, you're going to have, you know, business problems, you're going to have all sorts of craziness happening, right?
2020.
You're going to have 2020, you know? But honestly, if you have to ask me, I'll end with this because it is a mindset thing. If you have to tell me, is 2020 the worst year you've ever had? I would tell you no. I'm thankful for 2020, in all honesty. At the end of the day, I am thankful for 2020. This online Joya Soul TV, we've been trying to do this for 5 years. 2020 forced us to be able to kind of compile it and put it together in a format we can present it well. 2020 also brought us together as a family. We started spending more time together, sometimes a little too much time. But sometimes, you know, that my wife would say that. I wouldn't say that. But yeah, flexibility in your thinking and positive mindset is paramount for sure. Absolutely, 100%. And that's what I see a lot of our youngsters right now is when they're out there and they're, you know, I think they look at 2020 that, oh my God, I'm missing a graduation or I'm doing this or I'm not doing that. I'm like, you know what, it's okay. The best, I'll leave you with this, the best meme, I learned how to say meme the right way from, right way from Rio, actually from you guys. The best meme that I saw, or a story that I saw recently was that somebody was, how much we're complaining about 2020, yet you compare that to somebody who was born in the 1900s, who had to go through World War I at 19, 17, 18. Then shortly thereafter, they had the economic meltdown that we had over here, the Great Depression. Then World War II. Then you had the Vietnam War. Before that, the Korean War. So those people that were born during that time, man, they had it in rough.
Yeah.
That was rough. Like 2020, we got this. Come on, So that's the kind of mentality that we have to take going forwards, and it's okay. And I think, and I'm excited about it because I think that we're coming out as a whole community, not just as a community. Let's get past the election first, but as a community, as a country, as we're starting to realize that it doesn't really matter what the color of your skin is, what your socioeconomic status is, where you come from in the world, whatever it is. COVID attacks everybody, right? It doesn't matter, young, old, sick, whatever it is. So it's been the greatest equalizer as well. So a lot of people are realizing that and understanding that we have to work together as a community, as a society, as a world, and keep that positive mindset, keep that flexible attitude, and come out of this pandemic, not just, a better Joya, but a better world, a better community. And that's what we're working really hard towards too, is we have to remind, and you guys, that's what we have to depend on you guys, all the youngsters for, is that we have to remind you guys, or you have to remind us that, hey, there's more to live to beyond just what's happening around us, and that at the end of the day, we're gonna get through this, and we're gonna come out better, we're gonna come out stronger, and I can't wait to see what 2021 is gonna look like. We still have a few months in 2020, but I can't wait to see what 2021 is gonna look like.
Absolutely. That's a beautiful way to end, and I need you at the start of every day. I'm ready now. But no, that was excellent. That was a brilliant podcast. We really appreciate your time for coming on and sharing your story. You can find this podcast over on YouTube if you're watching us. That's great. If not, you can listen to us on Apple Podcasts, on Spotify, all of the other platforms. Go and read the article, from earlier this week, which is actually written by Deanna on meditation and how that's related to kind of motivation and business and all that sort of stuff. So that's excellent. Go and have a read of that one. But thanks again so much for coming on. So we'll finish as we always do.
Cheers for now.